Thank you, bro. Um, yeah, so long story short, stay focused on the right things with the right people and pay yourself first. Use your time wisely. There's also a thing in chapter 9 as well. I'm reading now one of my last notes, teach and you shall receive. So Michael likes to say, teach and you can go to the beach. That's true. It's very true. So that's why I wanted to share a little bit about my personal experience because I'm trying to show you guys that I genuinely am out here in the field getting got. Because that's sometimes what it takes. You got to learn some lessons the hard way. And I'm glad I learned it now in that way versus a different way that could be a lot more detrimental in the future. Been caught out of a few projects, def irritating, but God doesn't do accidents. What's for you is for you, and what's not isn't. Harvest the good and move forward. Facts. Facts, brother. Yep. I know I can you probably know who I'm talking about too, Mikkel. About like exactly. Yeah. Yeah. No, there's definitely some nodding of the heads going on. So with that being said, final thoughts. Um, action is the key to everything. Like I said before, just get out here, do the work, people. Like to think and not do is not to know, or to know and not do is not to know, basically. Like if you know how to read and you don't read, you have no advantage over the person that doesn't know how to read because you're both not reading. So just do the work and match your work to the size of your faith because faith without works is dead. A lot of people have a lot of faith, but even fewer have the work to show that faith. You know what I mean? And that's really what God rewards. So with that, I'm gonna pass it off to um Arnulfo. You look like you're ready to go off right now, bro.
What's up? What's up, guys? Yeah, I got a little church meeting I gotta be at 12 o'clock, so I'll make it sweet. Guys, I haven't been keeping up with the book. Man, life be lifing sometimes. I'm a single father, of two boys, and it's summertime, so trying to keep these kids out of my hair and grinding on the business and working and trading and studying. It can be hectic. So, but I did read some of the chapters we needed to read. I only got up to chapter 5 and I skipped just trying to catch up. But man, Mathis, man, call me, brother, or send me a message. Let's connect, brother. I think we can talk about a lot of things, brother. I'm in real estate, so I make phone calls. I'm on the acquisition teams, and I have a CRM as well. So I'm calling agents, I'm calling sellers, and got to a point where I didn't make that many calls these last 2 weeks. So, and just like you said, you got to get up, go to the gym, and that's what I do. That's my routine. Get up, you know, if I can, praise and worship, and then get to the gym and get my mind set, and then I'm behind the calls and I got my morning meetings and stuff. But yeah, you got to make sure you keep that grind going. And everything you said pretty much hit in line what's been going on last couple of weeks. I talked to Marcos and the trades. I'm still working on getting. Only been trading for 3 weeks, right? So I'm learning it. I'm trying to get back into the swing of things. I was into the green, and I guess some of you guys know you're into the green, you're into the red, you're into the green, you're into the red, and he's just trying to find that right mojo you need to just stay consistent. So definitely I was reading, trying to finish up reading, and I really never gone past chapter one in this book. My mentorships in the real estate side always suggested this book to read, that and so many others. And I got into it. It's just, life gets in the way. But these things happen, you just got to learn how to bounce back. Got to have that faith, knowing that, I can feel God saying, man, I need you to go out here and give it all you get and know and walk with your chin up, chest out, like, I got your back, right? And you just got to have that mindset. I've been cut out in a couple of real estate deals myself, man. I mean, I've been several times, and it just comes with the territory. But the steps that they provide in chapter 9 and chapter 8 are pretty good, man. It helps me remember what I've been taught the last couple of years in real estate and how to continue to be consistent. how to make sure you have the right contracts in front of you, how to make sure you have the right people in front of you with the correct mindset. You can only grow as much as your environment allows you to. So I think having the group of people here on a Saturday in the book club talking about elevating is a great formula for success. It's just you just got to be disciplined. I think a man specifically, I think a man needs to make sure they're disciplined. It's very important. And me raising boys, I need to show that consistency so they can learn and they can execute and be better men than I was, right? That's the goal is when you raise kids, you want them to be better people than you were and, show them their mistakes and give them the grace, but always, nudge them to be the best they can be for sure. But yeah, I mean, this is a great book. I don't have much uh, to share because I'm behind. Apologies, but I'm definitely going to finish reading the book and I'll do be more consistent. This is like what probably a month me being into this great community you guys got, and I'm just got to get to the swing of things, see how I can incorporate it into my life and get it, man. I got that fire, I got that drive. I just got a lot of shit on me that I got to figure out how to deal with. So yeah, that's all I got, man. I appreciate all you guys for hosting these Zooms, man. Appreciate you guys for always staying motivated. Marcos, you always, you number one in my book, brother. I appreciate you. So yeah, that's all I got. And I guess I'll pass it on to Patrick.
Cool. Let's go. Can y'all hear me? Everyone can hear me, right? I'm pretty sure you can. Cool. Before you go, you're gonna stay a little bit while, but I want you to remember something, Arnarful, because the thing is you said, you're behind on the book, but remember, guys, we're not just reading this book one time, So it's always so you can skip around. It doesn't matter. I know people who read the end of the book before they start the beginning of the book, right? So it comes down to just multiple times, right? Consistency, reading, and you know what? Yeah, I know because I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure everybody has a lot of stuff going on in their life, right? So something that helped me, and maybe it'll help you too, is just cut out a block of time, just like a small block of time. Doesn't even matter, right? Or uh pages by pages. Read 10 pages a day. Just like because until you can get it to 15 to 20, whatever, right? Whatever you want. And naturally you'll just find yourself reading a lot more often. Anyways, so yeah, I've I've lost tons on deals. Mateo. So funny you're telling that story. I mean, not funny that it happened, of course, but funny that we all have our cut out of the deal story, right? I'm pretty sure. And me personally, something so many people ask me and are like, it's like you're always doing so much, or what's going on with your money or your savings or whatnot. And it's so funny because me personally, I spend probably 90% of my extra money on stuff, right? Trying opportunities or doing stuff, like finding stuff. When somebody offers or says, hey, check out this crypto program, or hey, check out this and that, I'll look at it and then I jump right in. If I could be a part of it, then cool, because why not? I don't have a fear of losing money, which is funny because my girlfriend asked me last night, because I was talking about some of these trades that I set at break even, this week, that me and Mateo and Marcos were on, and I was telling them about them. But what I did this week was I waited I waited 3 days for these trades to set up, right? I waited 3 days for these trades to set up, and they set up, and I executed almost perfectly, right? And then news came out on the fourth day. News comes out, and I'm like, well, I'm in profit decent enough, so let me set break even, right? Instead of remembering something that a lot of traders have said over time, time and time again, the news is going to push the trades to where you want or it won't, like, and instead of just thinking that, I'm like, yeah, let me put break even, right? And then it goes down, it hits break even. And then, of course, in the next 5 hours or 7 hours or some crap, right? It shoots up to exactly where I thought it was going to be and some with some extra change to add on, right? So, anyways, stick to your trade plans, guys. But let's get to the book, in that overcoming obstacles and what Mateo was talking about a lot with, a lot of people get it in their own head and they're waiting, right? Waiting for the perfect time. And I've got a good little story for y'all, and I'll make it quick. But when it comes down to it, the guy that the educator, I've been on a lot of his sessions, and the one that's been, really getting my confidence up in what I'm doing, right? And how I'm trading. It's wonderful. But he asked me, he was like, you got everything set up. So what is stopping you? He's like, I went through all of these fun trades. Everything went my way. I'm just like feeling like this is too good to be true. And he's just like, just push the button. Push the button. So many people fear just push the button. Just do it, right? You win, you lose. Cool. At least you executed. You did something, right? Push the button. Wasted knowledge, right? Knowing and not doing is like not knowing at all, right? You know? So yeah, the next point, pay yourself first, right? That Mateo was talking about. I have a friend actually, and it's the funniest stuff ever, right? And while I was learning about that, right, he literally has started up this business, right? And he got good income from the business. He or got good cash flow, right? Um, and he had about $5,000, right, in 2 weeks that he got in from this business and is waiting. And then he says something to me. He says, you know, but I would rather pay my bills first to get ahead of my bills than paying myself, right? And he's trying to ask me for money for this business. He's like to, cover finances or whatever. And I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? You got to pay yourself first, man. You got to pay yourself first, right? That comes to paying for your assets, the things that you're building, right? That makes you cash flow. You know, I get it. I get it. I've been outside of my house before fighting with the utility company guy, right? At my house, on the side of my house, telling him, hey, man, I'm going to come. I'll get the money, right? Just give me some time, right? I've been there. But at the end of the day, you really have to pay yourself first, right? And take care of that assets column. And it's so funny. You were talking about, you said, yeah, when he says he's broke. My favorite line from Les Brown, he says, I'm not broke, I'm overcoming a cash flow problem, right? That's what I say. I'm not, no, I ain't broke. I'm just overcoming a cash flow problem. I always thought that was great. But yeah, majority of my gifts to myself, I don't buy stuff. I don't need, objects. I try and yeah, my funds are in transmission. Exactly. My bank account's just catching up, right? But I like to buy stuff for myself, opportunities. It's like instead of a gift, for Valentine's Day, hey, I'm gonna get a trading account, I'm gonna purchase a test, right? Little things like that. That's what I like to do. Um, cutting out. Yeah, cut out. Oh man, there's so many thorns in your side, and a lot of the times they're very unnoticeable, right? Because you'll hear somebody talking to you and they're a friendly person. They could be nice enough, but sometimes, they have different things that they're focusing on, right? And so they might think what's good for you is because it's good for them. So don't have any fear. Just cut out those thorns, stay focused on what your business, keep focused on your business, right? Um, one of my biggest struggles from chapter 9, or chapter 8, overcoming obstacles, was fear of missing out. Definitely FOMO. I get that kind of easy. Um, Definitely fear of missing out. And so I try to work on that, just let winners be winners, let losers be losers. And definitely I've turned down a lot of channels that I was following. I get notifications from everybody, and really trying to just focus in on my own trading, my own skills. Um, yeah, and I also touch up on that what Mateo was saying about people who have it. Oh, definitely. I have a lot of people in my life that have the money, right? And it's just like, man, it's so hard because it's like, yeah, if I had that money, if I had that 15K, right, I would have gone to this trading academy or whatever the case is, right? When I know people who have, well over $500,000 to $1 million in their bank account, and they are sitting on it, right? They're sitting on it. They're afraid of losing it, or they're afraid of spending it, right? It's like, um, it's really tough seeing that and watching your friends go through stuff like that. Anyways, um, it's okay to let something go. Yeah, it's definitely okay to let stuff go. Um, Let's see. I don't really know why I wrote that down. It was something you were saying something about it. Oh, and then last thing that I'll tell y'all, getting started, the next chapter, kind of final thoughts too, with all of that. Um, I have one story about, my business partner. I told y'all about this and about how it took us so long to build this business, and just to stay motivated and keep grinding on it was a challenge in itself, but we did it, right? But the funny part about it is when we first got started, there's a guy that I know and met, right? Um, and his name's Tim. And Tim, uh, when we got started in our business, we went and met up with this guy. He was at one of the dealerships, and he um, he was talking big things, right? Talking great things and talking about how this business he wants to do and how we could be incorporated. And he needs someone like our company. Okay. And after we left the meeting with him, it was great, but we're like, we just want you to talk to the people where you're at now and see if you can get us into where you're at now, right? And he was one of the managers over there. And instead, he invited us to come over and starts pitching us his business idea, you know? And it's kind of like that was a little frustrating. But when we left the meeting, my partner, Brian, says to me, he says, that guy's not he's a talker, right? He's just a talker. Okay. I guarantee you, he's not out there doing the things necessary, right? He's not out there grinding. He's not out there going to other dealerships trying to pitch his business. He's just in this phase of perfect time, right? Let me get all my ducks in a row before I execute, right? And so funny enough, I kept his contact. Of course, I keep everybody's contact, I don't care. We might run into each other years down the road. Funny enough, this guy called me um, about 3 years later. He randomly calls me and he's like, now working at a totally different location, totally different city. He's like, hey, yeah, 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 we might need you guys down here. And I asked him, I said, "Hey man, yeah, so what's going on with your business, right? It's called Dealer in the Mirror. What's going on with Dealer in the Mirror, man? What's going on with your business?" It's like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I'm still yeah, I'm just getting some stuff together." And I'm like, "Brother, like, okay, I'm not all I said was okay." You know, I'm not going to tell you what's what. But in my head, of course, I called my partner up afterwards and I'm like, hey, man, guess who I heard from? She's like, I don't know who. I said, Tim. And he was like, oh, yeah? How's it going? I'm like, he's in the exact same spot he was 3 years ago. Exact same spot, you know? Hadn't touched anything in the business, hadn't gone to any other dealerships, hadn't talked to anybody. He's still setting it up. You know, I got to get my website ready. I got to get my processes ready. I got to get my insurance in line. I got to get this and that. Bro, you just got to push the button, man. Just push the freaking button, you know? Um, so anyways, that's my last story. Everyone's got something out there, challenges. Just drop the excuses, you know. That's one of my funniest favorite people is David Goggins. And even though, you know, he could be pretty wild, right? But at least he's a push the button, man. Drop the excuses, you know. What are your excuses? What are you telling yourself on a daily that's stopping you, you know, stopping you from just executing? You know, what do you fear? Just figure it out and just let it go, you know, just drop it. Just take the chance, take the risk, you know. We're willing to drive our cars on a daily, right? You're in a 2,000 pound death trap, right? Driving around the roads with thousands of other people doing the same thing, right? If you're willing to take that kind of risk, definitely, definitely, you know, pushing some buttons with some fake money, right? You know, is not hard, you know, or picking up a phone call and trying to talk to somebody and whatever you do, it's really not difficult. Um, anyways, that's my wrap up, I guess, and I will pop to Amber.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm grateful to be here. Grateful to hear everybody's stories. I really, really loved it. All y'all went off on the value and the stories, and I get it. This book is really, really good. Over the past couple of months that we've been reading this book in this community and in my community, I've been deep diving into each one, and I've been really practicing what he talked about at the end of the book, which is if you want to learn financial literacy, teach other people financial literacy. And so I'm like really, really big as a leader and as a teacher, I'm really big on integrity. Like I will not teach something or talk about something until I know that I can teach it and I can be effective in it. And so in the process of that, I've just been allowing like the community to really hold me accountable to following the steps and really understanding what's going on. And these past couple months have just been super transformational. Like I can't even begin to explain, like just understanding financial literacy, really understanding the truth about what's really going on, and really just the fact that it's possible. It's extremely possible to build generational wealth. And at the end of the day, it's really about believing that you can and consistently putting in that time. It's not hard. It's not difficult. We have the resources, we have the books, we have the communities, we have the accountability partners, and now in this like day and age we have AI. We have the ability to be able to tap into a tool that can help us in real time. And that's something like for me that has been really transformational, like growing up. And even throughout like my past 10 years of my personal development journey, there was a lot of times where I was alone, where I wasn't, surrounded by people who were building. I was and I wasn't. And if I was, there were at some points in time where I felt like I couldn't ask certain questions. Like I would felt like I was stupid, or they just didn't have the time to sit with me to explain what I needed to explain to me in 100 different ways until I got it. Um, and so now like me utilizing my resources has been so, so helpful. And so I really encourage everyone, to use that, like to use our resources and to put in the time and to ask the questions of the people that are around us over and over and over again until you get it. Like I'm a very kinesthetic learner. Like I need to see something, I need an example that I can touch. And if I be honest, one of the things that I've grown up with, when it's like I'm grateful for all my mentors and teachers. But even like with my dad, like I think it was talked about in the book, or maybe it was another book, the financial book that we started, but there's a difference between actually saving and saving. I mean, talking about saving and saving. There's a difference between talking about investing and investing. And for a long time, like growing up, I felt like I was around a lot of people who were just telling me what to do, but not actually showing me. And that was very frustrating, like even in personal development, like having mentors, talking about investing and talking about saving, and me being like, okay, well, like how does that literally look like? Like, what does your bank account look like? And them not being able to answer those questions. And I know for me, like, I'm very excited for the day. Like, I was doing the work for myself. Like, I'm excited to be able to show my sisters and show the people in my family, like my bank account, and be like, look, this is literally real. Like, not just like the way my dad was just telling us what to do, and not just what other people are just telling you, but like, no, look, like here, it's right here. Like, I did it. We did it. It's possible. And I know that it is possible, and like the value of that, you know what I mean? Um, and so that's just something that I've been working on for myself, like being a leader who is in deep integrity. And so making sure that my financial foundation is really, really, really strong, and that there is no cracks. I'm not skipping over any steps and going over every single one of them thoroughly, and, using the resources that we are learning in these books, understanding fear, understanding our emotion, having, emotional intelligence, being like meticulously in alignment, making sure that I'm aware of understanding, the law of vibration. And when it comes to money, and every time I'm handling money, making sure I'm in a high vibration when I'm handling it, because there really there shouldn't be any reason that we shouldn't, unless we're doing the work to uncover that fear. Like he talked about, like fear, doubt, cynicism, and hesitation. And like a lot of times it really is fear, the fear that you're going to miss out, the fear that you're going to lose money, the fear that that it's not going to work. And at the end of the day, we have to make a choice that we are powerful, that we decide where our energy is going to go. And like one thing that I've experienced, or like been thinking about recently, like it's really important to ask the right questions. A lot of times people ask the wrong questions. I feel like asking like how it's not going to work, or what if, it doesn't work. But at the end of the day, like I think it's about making a choice of asking the right questions. Like somebody was talking to me recently about all their doubts and skepticisms and all these questions about like AI. And they were like, well, what if they could sell our information? What if they could do this? What if they could do that? What if they could do this? What if they could do that? And I was just thinking about it later, and I was like, I don't think about this. One, I don't think about those questions at all. But then I was like, and if I did, I was like, why don't we ask those questions about everything? Like Instagram, Google, they already got everything. Like TikTok, like they have our like, like I mean, I don't like that's a different, but it's like if you're gonna be skeptical, like girl. Um, but for me, like I'm very big on doing the research, doing the work. I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna find out the answer about the question. Like I'm gonna, I was, sometimes it's hard to have an attitude to be like, have you asked, or you're just asking me, you just want to talk about it, because we could find out the answer to those questions. And then let's get to the real questions. Like, how do I make this work for me? How do I make this help me build generational wealth? And asking, you shall receive. And that's the one thing that we really have to understand. Every single question you ask, you will receive. If you ask how you're going to lose the money, how this is not going to work, you're going to find that answer. If you ask how this is going to work for you, and how this can help you, you're going to find that answer. So it's about understanding, like, what questions am I asking? What am I really looking for? So yes, let's see. Understanding your why is a really, really big deal. I spend time, I'm very family oriented. I spend time with my family very frequently. And right now, I have like little nieces and nephews, and they're like three. I have three of them, and they're all under three, and they're the most cutest, amazing things in the entire world. And my niece reminds me a lot of me when I was younger. She's incredible. She's cute. She's just so full of life and love. And every time I see her, she reminds me of me in a way when I used to go visit my stepdad or my biological dad, because my parents had separated, and every time I would go over there and see my grandparents, I would be so excited, and I would be so excited to see my uncle and stuff. And over time growing up, I stopped seeing them. They stopped being there. I would go visit my abuela, my abuelo, and my dad and my uncle just weren't around anymore. Like my abuela didn't know where they were, and she would literally drive me around Laredo looking for them. I didn't understand what was going on. I was 7 years old, no idea what was going on at all. And now growing up, now know being their age, being an aunt, being an adult, I know exactly what they were doing. They were on crack, and I look at her and I'm like, she's gonna wonder what I'm doing every time I leave. And I'm like, she's gonna know what I was doing. She was gonna know that I was building and that I'm gonna come back. Like last week on Sunday, like whenever I left, she just hugged me and she was like, you come back next week. I'm like, yes, dude, like I'll always come back. It's such a big deal, because like to this day, I'm 30 years old and I'm still, I still have the questions of like when I'm going to see my dad and stuff, and I'm not passing that on. I'm not passing fear of abandonment on. I'm not, I'm not doing it. Like they're going to know exactly what I was doing. We're going to have the results of exactly what I was doing in this season. And so guys, and so whenever I come back home and I'm here and I'm bored and I have to do the work and the research and the time, I do it because I'm very convicted in the fact that it's possible and we have something to build. And it's not just about me and about what I want, it's bigger. And they're not going to start from scratch the way that I did. They're not going to have to, reinvent the wheel 100 times over. They're going to start with assets, real life assets that they can do something with. They're going to learn financial literacy now throughout their life. They're going to be well equipped. And I'm just excited to be a part of that process. So that's all I have to say. Okay, I'm gonna click on Sam. Sam, bam.
Yo, what's up, family? Great takes. Thank you all for sharing. Those are powerful stories. That's great. Yeah, talking about financial literacy and passing it along. That's why we're doing this. Like Mateo said, legacy loves longevity, and the longevity broken down is in the small moments that we're taking the time, like this hour, 2 hours today, and the intentional time and those long nights that no one sees. That's what's building the longevity that we're able to pass down. So powerful stuff. Um, just reading this book over again, it just really it's really going on hits on a deeper level, as Mateo broke down, the five fears that we have or the five reasons for inaction, and it just really, I mean, the deck is stacked against us, as you would say, as it goes down to how we were raised, in our environment, you know, even to the schooling, in school, we're taught mistakes are bad and we get punished for them. But I mean, that's the real way we learn, learning through our mistakes and learning what comes through making them. And they program that into our brain, into our minds that that's bad. So, as Amber was saying, the way you talk to yourself, talk about yourself. I've had conversations with Marcus about like I was like, man, I can't do this, I can't do that. It's so expensive, or why can't I? And he's quick to correct me and say, switch up and say, instead of why can't I afford this, you ask yourself, how can I afford this? I know it takes, I know some emotion the way that, uh, yeah, it's just like, I know filter in the chat, mindset is everything, it's just, Man, y'all really spazzed today, y'all. I don't have anything else to add. I'm kind of back to everything y'all was saying. Like the understanding of money is one thing, but taking action is completely it's everything. And I know Patrick threw that when he was talking too. So it's just really I mean, the best way to learn about money is to put it to work. Like Patrick was saying, you can't have the fear of losing and the fear of it cause the inaction, you know. Um, so that's really I don't want to take too much away from y'all. Y'all said everything. You know, I guess if we're all keeping it I'll tell a personal story. My biggest thing about the five things of inaction was the arrogance. The air I was uh I was working for a company at a warehouse and man, I was the one. This is see, y'all even in the way I'm about to say it, it probably lets y'all know that like I thought I was doing I thought I was doing and I was the one that was matching the 401k, purchasing.
Where'd you go, Sam?
It says he's on here.
Oh, hey, am I back?
You're back.
Yeah, you're back.
Mhm.
We don't know what happened, but you said you were purchasing
Yeah, yeah,
401k.
yeah. Sorry. Okay, yeah, yeah. I was matching the 401k when all of my peers weren't, all my coworkers weren't, and I was like, y'all need to do this. Like I'm doing it, y'all need to do this. Thinking I knew so much and purchasing a Roth IRA and learning about, real estate at the time and stuff and thinking I was doing so much, thinking, letting everybody tell me how good I was doing. So that arrogance really is what um my power of learning because I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't even know, like Amber said, the right questions to ask to figure out the unknown. I just knew what I knew, and it was arrogant enough to not pursue, learning financial literacy. So it's this it's real life, this book breaks it down step by step of like what will cause you to not move. Like Patrick said, that man talking about his business for 3 years, still trying to get his ducks in a row. It's real life. It'll really cause you to miss out on opportunities and miss out on life or a life that you could have lived with just one decision. Not just one decision, but the action of one decision, like we were talking about. Action, like Marcus threw in the chat, action is always better than inaction. So that's just really all I had to say. I mean, fire takes today. The book is definitely great, and so I think the only thing I can leave y'all with is, if anything's holding us back, um, just to quickly encourage to identify it and say, you know, it's not about how much you know, it's about what you do. So I appreciate y'all. Fire takes. Let me get back to the chat and see. Let's see. Town, are you available to go? Fire takes y'all. I appreciate y'all so much.
What's good, guys? Yo, everyone, like Sam said, everyone touched every base. I mean, and wrapping up the book, if you read the end of the book, it pretty much wraps up everything the book has spoken about. So, there's not much new information that has come about. But one thing I did realize is that repetition is key, and that's my favorite part of wrapping up this book. It He not only gave new examples of the same thing, um just like your brain is a muscle, everything is muscle memory. Repetition is what helps you not only remember but keep it helps you grow, and just doing those things keep you active. You never stop learning, and if you're ready, willing, and able, all you got to do is keep learning new things, learn from people. One key point Robert put near the end of the book is definitely like follow your heroes. Most people think they outgrow the idea of looking up to somebody or people being better than you at what you want. Like that's exactly how most successful, if not all successful people ended up being successful. They literally mimicked, mocked, or copied somebody who did it already, did it great, and they followed the formula. So just that takeaway alone is really what I needed to hear, because I'm from New York, and a lot of what we do out here is individual or original or like don't be a biter and all this other stuff. But the truth is that is really actually the key to success. You follow those who have already done what you want to do in life, and you know follow those who have what you already want in life. Uh, Another key takeaway I've gotten from the last two chapters and the wrap up is the fact that there are three forms of income, and most people think that income is only what you work for, or if you own a business, is what you take away from your business. When truth be told, your portfolio counts as an income, and most people don't even realize they either have a portfolio. Like, I think it was Sam that was saying, like, he did 401ks and stuff like that. Most people don't even understand what that is. I remember working my full time job, and everyone was just like, I'm not even going to do it. And I would look at them like they're insane. So you don't want the job that's taking your money anyway to put it in somewhere that's going to make you money when you leave this job. Like, do you understand what a retirement fund is? You don't even have to retire to have that. Once you leave, that leaves with you. That's the only thing that this job gives you back is that 401 that investment that you made, and you're not even doing the work. Do you know how hard it is to understand investments? So letting a company like Vanguard run your portfolio, I think you'd be a fool to not even entertain that. So just little things like that right there is what showed me, like, not only was I around people who weren't really financially astute, I wasn't as financially astute as I thought I was, especially in leaving that, bringing my 401k, which I should have just transferred into a new account. I just cashed that baby out because who don't need bread, right? Who don't need the cash, right? So, had I known now or even read the book then when I had it, I would be in a completely different financial situation. So you will always, like I said, you always learn something new, especially in every financial stage of your life. You learn something new, and I think it might have been Patrick, it might have been Arnolfo, but it might have been Mateo. Somebody had mentioned how people have funds and they really just don't know what to do with it, or they have money and they're just not financially astute to know what to do with it. And I think that's also an even bigger problem. I got it, so I don't need to learn about it. That is the most ignorant thing I've ever heard in my life. Okay, so just not being in that mindset as I grow financially astute is going to be one of the key factors that I have to, keep in mind. And then paying yourself first. I have been Charlie Browning with that idea for a very long time, because there's days where it's just like me, but there's days where it's just like if that bill don't get paid, no, no, you know what I mean? So it's sticking to the formula. I think that was Pat who said, like, stick to the plan, stick to it. You have to, because when the plan is solid enough, it'll keep going. Like, I always talk about this all the time, and it's a good but bad example. Look at the systems, all systems that have been going, whether it's a like a food stamp system or like a HRA, like assistance type of system, they're not the best system, but they've been in place and they've been active since time began. Something about it works. People still need and rely on it, so something about it works. So when you have a system and it works well enough, keep growing with it. And then my last point about that is assess, assess, assess. Stop what you're doing and assess. Once you have that formula, once you have that system, let it run and then step back and assess the system, the pros and cons, what's working and not working, and how can you improve it. I think that's what Robert Kiyosaki has said in an earlier chapter. He's like, when things work, it's not about if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's about, if it ain't broke, how can we improve it? And I think that's the key point in assessment after you have a system that is flourishing. So those are my takes on it. Y'all ate it up, and I think the last few people it's either Imani or Tia, and I think I'm gonna go Imani on this one. Imani, where you at?
I'm right here. Hey, thanks. Wow. Yes, everybody are. What did you say, Chi-Town? Astute. Yeah, everybody here always gives the vibes, and I, as usual, just love it. I love it because it's just exactly. Okay, I'll see you later. All right, bye. Um, what? All right, here we go. I'm just gonna step right in into it all. Okay, so this is the last few chapters. So he was talking about the steps, and the first step for me, like, really stood out to me. Of course, it just find your why. Find your why because it actually feeds your spirit. Like, that's the most powerful thing about it. And looking back on the catalog of books that we've read in the past, he even mentions Richest Man in Babylon in this book. And then, of course, when he was talking about finding like your reasoning for doing everything, I thought of Start With Why and like how deep that book got into the reason why you want to know why. And I experienced that this week. Like, I already knew I was going to end up working 11 days straight. And I was like, okay, this is about to be a run, but it's about to be worth it because I knew I was going to go to my property yesterday. And I held out. I was just like in a good mood, cheery, doing the best I can. I probably cried. Who knows? It was, but I had that reasoning because I knew that Friday meant that I was on the road to having a long term vision accomplished. And that key decision, like that step, is on the direction that I want to be in. So I have to do it and I want to do it. So it just fueled me this week. And that is powerful when you have a reason that's strong enough, as we know, to push you through, you can accomplish anything. And that is so badass. Now that I know that, I'm just like, yeah, like building confidence, which is something that he brings up too, where he said, don't listen to poor people, birds of a feather flock together. You'll like poor people think of doom and gloom. And if you strictly listen to doom, that fear is going to keep you from making a lot of things. So, what is it? What is it? The reason so powerful that you would transcend all of that? What's the reason? What's the reason? Pay yourself first is self-discipline. So when he was talking about certain like, poor-minded people or people who are not like who's like real life scared to push through, he was talking about people with low self-esteem and low self-tolerance for financial pressure could never be rich. And he says to use the pressure to push yourself and come up with new ways to make money rather than thinking that because of all this gloom and doom in the world that there's not, like, of course there's going to be the opposite. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Like there's always going to be two sides of the coin and you're going to have to choose. Like everyone has to choose what side they want to be on. And there's blurred line. Well, there's a lot of blurred lines in the world and a lot of mixture because in the middle of it all is the middle that also exists just as much as each side. But when he talks about, people with low self-esteem, that's why we're in groups like this. Because groups like this really push a person to personally develop, really develop this yourself and your sense of self and know like you're meant to be here. You can take up space. Like y'all can take up space, do what you want to do. Be happy, choose happiness, and like really build yourself up. Because the more you build yourself up, then you really start being invincible. I used to think that like you had to just know it all in one day. And I'm going on almost 2 years in book club, I think later this year. And it gets me really excited because I learned that over the course of these years, since I've even moved to Austin, that I have built layer upon layer of myself, and I've built myself up to the point where I'm just like, what's next? What can we accomplish next? I'm doing it. And then I'll be scared too sometimes, and the ego comes in, which Sam, you were talking about how the arrogance part of like not learning from someone who has done it and to taking that knowledge and creating action and driving results. That is so powerful. But if arrogance and ego really stand in your way, it's like, oh, what's next? We got to go back to personal development, even though personal development is like, and doesn't it ever really go away? Probably not. Just like financial knowledge, which he says, like you always have to learn, keep learning financial knowledge. That education is very important to keep reading, keep listening, and paying attention to the things that are going to like drive yourself to the highest potential. Drive yourself to that highest potential that everybody, the like the soul wants to reach. Like, and whatever reason you have behind that to push yourself and get to that point is very powerful. I also like how the story about him or the story about his friend. This is always one of my favorite stories of this book. The friend's son wanted to buy a car, and instead of just giving it to him, he made him work for it, and that caused this like spark in his kid to want to keep going. He's like, I don't need the car. I like this. I like this life. I'm gonna see where this can go, and that is beautiful to be able to teach your children. I don't have kids. I know there's some parents in the group, so I can't imagine being in that position to like, how can I make this work for my kid long term? But I think that's a sweet story. And again, one of my favorites. Um, then, okay, so really, the last thing that really stuck out to me is the power of giving. We hear it in every book, we see it time and time again. It is a cycle and it needs to go in its natural course. Receiving and giving is there's two sides of it. You want to just keep it flowing. It's like money. You want to keep it flowing and create the cycle. Accept the gift. Accept the knowledge. Accept whatever it is that you are being given, and also give. Share the love. Share the knowledge. Share the wealth, and it builds more confidence. It builds a community that feels good. Like anytime I see like me giving something to somebody and they really receive it, and those moments where it comes back to me, I'm just like, okay, okay, universe, I see you. Like, I love it. It brings me joy. And honestly, that's the best part of being alive. Like, shit, not all this bills. I don't like paying bills, bro. No, but who likes paying bills? No. So enjoying everything at the end of the day and like living your best life. I mean, that's all this work. I know everybody in here is like, that's why I want to do it. So I can live free, I can enjoy the people I love, and enjoy my life while I'm here. So that is my take, y'all. I am going to pass it to Mikkel. Mikkel, are you on? Marcus, have you gone?
I have not got, I do not know where that man's at, but all good. I appreciate it. And just like these fingers, y'all been snapping. Took a quick call. Okay, cool. But y'all been snapping for real. And it's been awesome to really witness a lot of the growth over the span of like the time where we've been able to grow together. So I really want to give everybody their flowers. I see the progression, I see the intention. And like literally none of us have to be here. You know what I'm saying, right? It's kind of like what he talks about, the power of choice. We choose. to show up so that we learn, and we choose to show up so that we understand, so that we can communicate, we can grow together, and we can literally make the change that we want to see with one another. And y'all, this time around reading this book literally has done something crazy for me. I feel like I've had a sort of an epiphany, light bulb, puzzle piece in the entirety of where I'm getting a clearer picture. And I thought I already had a pretty clear picture of what financial literacy looks like. But y'all, there's truly levels to it. This is now my sixth time reading this book. And in doing that, I think the biggest thing that stands out to me this time around, and shout out y'all, because like a couple y'all came on here and said like everything was said, and then y'all dropped bars on what I was gonna want to say because there was so much actually in these last few chapters that I think are extremely imperative that be overstood so that you apply and you get the results you're seeking. And the fact that y'all touched on it really shows that y'all, one, we're actively reading to not just learn, but also listen. Like, what is it that you need to comprehend in this moment in time, which is commendable. You know what I'm saying? It's not no small thing. And as you go and move forward, I feel like y'all's intentions are aligned with the activity. You'll get some crazy results, truly. So for me, what stood out most this time around is the built on layer that I didn't recognize was so like pivotal to know the connection in order from getting to learning about financial literacy to becoming financially free and wealthy. Right? I've always like first kind of tidbits of personal development, going to seminars. Shout out World Ventures, Marcus Setta, my first rich dad. But in the process, I would get exposed to these ideas and knowing that there's this thing called financial freedom and you can have it. And that I've seen a lifestyle that I've wanted and I've had a vision in my mind. I just never knew how to actually do it. I was literally doing what they taught me. I was in the middle of school to become a PA. So, like, in the process of me doing what it is that I was operating in knowledge of, the Lord exposed me to this concept of financial freedom. And then the layer got put onto it because everybody that walked on stage talked about the importance of being financially literate, whatever that meant. Like this is a foreign concept to my family, foreign concept to majority of the people I grew up with, and majority of socioeconomic environments that we currently see today. So just keep that in mind because I'm gonna touch back on that. And in that, I'm like, all right, bet. They talked about Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I literally skimmed it from time to time. And then at 20 years old, I was a sophomore going into my junior year of college. I decided to finally read it. And I never looked at money the same. And I started building my business. Like I got started entrepreneurship at 18. And then the passion and the actual drive to go and get it done, the activity happened about a year and a half later. I was in stagnancy because I was frozen in fear and over analysis. I was like your 3 year old business starter, bro. It's like, yeah, I'm figuring it out. We're gonna see if it even fits, right? Like I've got to know the X and Y's and Z's, and that was none of the case, right? So then I learned about all right, financial literacy, and then now next time I read this book, I'm understanding all right, in order to get to financial freedom from financial literacy, you have this in between part that most people don't recognize is absolutely necessary, and that is financial diversification. You've got to have the ability to take the information and turn the cash flow into areas that bring more income into your pockets, aka assets. We've talked about it, right? Didn't understand that little pivotal point. And the biggest part that stood out to me, and he talked about it in the final thoughts, he says, he shared some insights into how increased financial intelligence can be used to solve many of life's common problems. Without training, we are all too often used the standard formulas to get through life, work hard or borrow and pay excessive taxes. Today, more than ever, we need better information. Y'all, when I say like I feel like I'm out of the matrix, y'all. I understand because money is this made up concept. And in the process, he talks about in the final thoughts, you need to have better thinking. You need to have better thinking. You have better thinking, you can master it because it's a tool. It's not even real. And most people don't even understand how they're literally living their life to really just get it so that they can be in this continuous cycle. And it requires financial intelligence. I had a great conversation with Mateo. But I've honestly been talking about this a little bit with Mikhail as well, and how this time around, that has stood out to me very loudly in a way that was brought to my attention last year and I started taking active steps with, right? He says it multiple times because as last week I had touched on the fact that in the sentence where he breaks it down, he starts it off saying, as I have repeated before, right? Shout out Chi-Town, repetition. As I have stated before, financial intelligence is the synergy of four main factors: accounting, it's the management of cash flow; investing, marketing, and law. And y'all, for the longest time, I've been doing and learning these things. And then I started actively doing these things together last year. I took the implications of law in terms of like by the book, understanding the taxes, understanding the legalities so that you can run an actual business, right? I've had to learn a lot over the last year to make sure that TGF Network, LLC, taxes, books, everything's in motion and we're set ready to go. But the epiphany I had is not just that law. Like he's also talking about the laws that govern the world, right? Imani talked about there's a give and take, an equal and opposite reaction. I talked about that in the value session I did not too long ago. There's a law of compensation where you will be compensated for the value you bring to whatever marketplace you're in through the service that you provide. And based on that value, you will get income. The law of sowing and reaping, right? Like it's literally these laws that if you understand them, you can utilize them. And that's what he's talking about in terms of playing the game. Like it's literally a game. You might not like how the game is currently ran, but in order to make an impact on the game, you've got to understand the game. Then you got to get in the game. Can't be on the sidelines, right? You've got to actively put in the spots. And then as you're in the game, you've got to perfect your craft. And that comes with repetition. That comes from continuously doing it, figuring it out. The score is 28-3. And we're going into halftime in the fourth quarter. And you got to be like Brady and say, I don't know how I'm going to figure this out, but we're going to work collectively with the entire team and we're going to win this ship. Like it's real life though. That was one of the biggest epiphanies for me because in order to get from financially literate to financially diversified to financial actual freedom and wealth, you have to apply that intelligence. Otherwise, you have no shot. And I think that's why he really states it and he like literally puts it in bold, all caps in the text. He's like, if y'all don't want to do it, like stop reading and like you're not going to do it because it's work and you're going to have to put it in. This is why they talked about the why being strong enough. Like, Amber girl, I understand how you feel. You know what I'm saying? I have a 6-year-old, about to be 7-year-old niece, a 3-month-old niece, and a 1.5-year-old nephew. And it's real life how I'm seeing like my siblings' offspring understand and learn the world. And if you take responsibility for it, you'll know that you impact and influence what they understand. It's really cool, y'all, stepping into this space of knowing that it's called cash flow for a reason. And then it's always about your perception on it that changes it. Like, y'all, middle of a Thursday, I got to treat my niece to a movie an entire day, y'all. Like, we just vibed out, was present. Um, Arcade games. She wanted boba. Never had boba in my life, but we went to go get boba, and we vibed out, bro. We really vibed out, and the entire time I had trades running, and I was just chilling. And in the process, is no longer a demo account. It's a live account. I have investments and two profitable businesses, and it's literally about how you spend the time versus how you make the. It's not how much money you make, it's how you make the money, it's how you spend the time. And like as I'm sitting there being present and like literally having conversation with this little human being who's starting to comprehend her environments and have actual dialogue between individuals, like I'm helping shape her mindset. Right. She was it was like one part she was talking about. I'm not gonna cry, but we went to a playground and there was like this obstacle course. So we both went through it. And as she was going, she was like, Theo, I'm kind of scared. This is like a lot. I was like, it's okay. When we're afraid, we continue to go forward one step in front of the other, right? She was like, okay. So she kept going and she got better. And I was like, girl, you're like flying through this thing. She's like, yeah. And then she got to a point where she's scared of the monkey bars. I was like, what do we do when we're afraid? She's like, we keep on going. It's the small things, y'all. And you got to understand like the significance of like right now. The reason why I started off by saying this one sentence, right? Today, more than ever, we need better information. This was back in this is like before 2020, right? We're 2025 now, and we need better information. Like the education system has not taught or prepared individuals for where the world is today. AI is a real thing, and there's real fear behind it because there's a lot of people that don't know that their jobs are literally going to be replaced sooner than later. And when that happens, people have got to adjust. Like there was a statistic not too long ago that was like 2007, 2008, the last recession, over 30% of the jobs that were lost were never like restored. Like that job and occupation was replaced already by technology. And us humans, we had to figure out something else. And it's like literally changing, y'all. There's actual robots controlling operations. You know what I'm saying? In all industries. It's not just warehouses and cars. Like it's literally in the medical field as well. And I stay pretty in tune with that space because I still want to be in that space. But there's like robots doing surgery and being monitored by the surgeons. Like this is real life. And in the like, yes, it's cool because we're progressing, but people are not prepared. And like what we have right now, y'all, the ability to teach, like everything we do is free now. I've been really thinking about this. I'm like, we help people understand how to use their money and to get in tune with relationships and resources for free. I don't need you to pay me. I need you to pay you. Like, take your money and invest in yourself. This is a wealthy principle, right? Pay yourself first. And that leads me to my second point that I really wanted to touch on, because I think this is one of the biggest parts that if you understand the smallest efforts literally compound over time, you'll change the game. He says, pay yourself first. Most financial professionals out here are doing what the masses do, and they pay themselves last because they feel like they got to pay the bills, right? And I really liked how he touched on the richest man in Babylon, because in the paragraph prior, shout out to Monty for bringing it up. In the paragraph prior, he says there's been times in my life when for whatever reason cash flow was far less than my bills, and I still paid myself first. My accountant and my bookkeeper are screaming in panic. They're going to come after you. The IRS is going to put you in jail. You're going to ruin your credit. They'll cut off the electricity. And I still paid myself first. And he says, let them yell, like let them scream, and help, like understand that if I pay my bills last, I am financially astute. Shout out Chi-Town for the vocabulary enough to not get into a tough financial situation. I pay my bills last and I set it up to only have the small unimportant bills that are due. I occasionally come up short and I still pay myself first. I let the creditors and even the government scream. They inspire me to go out and create more money. We don't just cave in and pressure and spend our savings or liquidate stocks to pay for consumer debt. That, my friends, is not too financially intelligent, right? He talks about financial intelligence. And like sometimes I was realizing that I was replacing the word intelligence with literate. Like literacy helps you understand. Intelligence is the process of using what you understand. They're two different words. And I'm like literally like, yo, Marcus, you're tripping, bro. Why did you do that for a couple years? Like I was reading this book about 3 different times prior to me having this epiphany. Like I'm being genuine, right? And I literally looked up the definition of the two words to ensure that my thought process wasn't my opinion. It was based off what's black and white. And if I'm replacing the word intelligence with literacy in my brain because I'm just reading a book for the first 3 times that I'm reading it, then by example, it really matters how many times you read the right books, y'all, because the books are in here. This is why I will continuously read the Bible every single day of my life for as long as I live. No matter how many times I read it back to left, because you're gonna get something that you might have missed. And if you just apply and have that willingness to take one step in front of the other, the action of asking, of seeking, and of knocking, like you'll get everything that you need. You know what I'm saying? And it's honestly changing the game for me, y'all. Like it's wild. For the last, like Mikhail's definitely, I appreciate, I appreciate my brother. I really do, because I'd be so locked in and so focused that sometimes I don't fully recognize how significant I've actually progressed in my process. So shout out our community, y'all. Having people that, empower you and not just correct you or hold you accountable, but literally propel you and lift you up when you deserve it. It's crazy, y'all, what it does for you, because he was like, bro, you realize that you haven't worked a 9 to 5. You've been working for yourself and creating your own schedule for over a year now, bro. You are operating in a different mindset and looking at finances and looking at life in a totally different paradigm than majority of people on the planet, and people are peeping it. I'm like, bro, I guess I have. Like over the last year and some change. Like I've always been an entrepreneur, but like to actually be all in and like completely utilize the principles as I've done over the last year and a half, like the Lord's blessed me, y'all. It's actually wild. And in that, I've been able to leverage the laws and the systems and the intelligence being put into practice to gain wisdom through experience to like see these things actually work out and mean exactly what they say and not care. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I'm still in debt. But because of this book, I have a healthy relationship with it because I know that debt creates wealth, right? As he said, I don't work for money. I want money to work for me, right? And shout out, like, just a quick little shout out because he talks about trading and the importance of trading and how you should know how to do all this shit. Oh, excuse me, sorry. But you should know how to do all this, fam. You already know I'm not hyped up because I barely be cussing like that. And I'm out here cussing on the damn book club. But I'm sorry. But in that, like, he's literally saying, like, you need to actually know how to utilize your money in that route so that you can leverage those components of financial intelligence to achieve financial wealth. You've got to get from learning to being. Right? As Mikhail said on, I think it was Mikhail, or who was it? think it was Mikhail's value session, but he was like, you are what you repeatedly do, right? You are what you repeatedly do. Who you think you are is not who you are. It's your practices of what you can constantly do that determines who you are. Shout out Superman, right? You are not who you once were. You are your actions and choices today. Clark Kent. Then he went to go kick some butt. It was actually dope. Go watch the movie. All right, but the other thing I want to say is that this one thing that no one really talked about, I think I'll need to hear it. I really wish I'd known Flo was still here. But the three most important management skills that you need to have. And if you don't do these, you're not going to be wealthy. That's what he says. Okay. Number one is cash flow. Is your cash stagnant or is it flowing? Number two is management of people. Shout out being an entrepreneur and learned some lessons over the years. I'm grateful for my family and grateful for my partners through life. Appreciate all y'all have all had a take in that. And helping me with the experience, also in helping me with the management of people as well. Okay, number three, personal time. I think it's the most important, right? I think Patrick talked about literally just blocking out times in your schedule. Prioritize it. Like the reason why you're not where you want to be is because you're not prioritizing the actions that will get you there. I don't care about nothing else. Drop the excuses, my guy said. Like it's literally BS to me. I have to like correct my mindset so that I deliver when I have communication and love and grace the way that we're called. Because I really just want to be like, do it. Like stop. I don't want to hear why it's hard. Like I get it. I understand. But like prioritize it. If the things aren't working, how are you spending your time? Like stop what you're doing and analyze. I appreciate y'all bringing these points up because it's genuinely what matters. Like if you don't take the time to recognize what's working or what isn't working, or you're just in content, you're not looking to seek to improve. That was a bar. Like you've got to improve yourself on a continual basis. If you're a Christian and you believe in God, like you're called to that and you should. And if you don't, you're not fully walking in faith. I'm sorry, but I love you. You need to continuously grow. If you're not doing something for yourself every day to be better than you were yesterday, you are in complacency and you are therefore going backwards. You can't stand still. Do something. Like do anything. Go for a walk. Like just something positive. Shout out Amber. She's over here walking. I was like, I forgot you were all walking and stuff. My fault. Okay, but y'all learn those three things. Personal time is the most important part. You cannot master anything if you can't master yourself. You got to be disciplined. It's necessary. It's necessary. I've had to say a no to a lot of things that I've wanted to say yes to. I've had to say yes to a lot of things that I really wanted to say no to. But I'm either going to be what majority people are or I'm going to be the minority. And you make that choice every single day. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, nah, I'm not doing that. That's not me. That can be you. God bless you and I love you. But like for me, I'm not. And like I I stopped apologizing for allowing my confidence to rub people's insecurities wrong. I've got to do what I know needs to be done in order to get to where I'm going. And it doesn't matter what your opinion is on it. You're not paying my bills, nor do you care. Right? It's really having that actual understanding that, like, you have access to the better information and you've got to do something with it. And if you know where we're at right now, he says this is the key to financial freedom and great wealth is a person's ability to convert earned income into passive and or portfolio income. This is all the wealthy do. They take the money, they get efficient on how they get the money, and then they move the money into areas that bring in more money so they don't got to worry about it, right? Robert Kiyosaki's like, I use brokers because I don't want to be in front of the charts. I want to play golf. He wants to maximize his time. I don't know about y'all. I want to maximize my time. Like there's a lot of things I don't want to do that I want to do instead, and I have to put in the time now to actively get the results that I'm looking for. And it really requires you to understand how to convert the income that you have earned into passive and or portfolio income. And I'll leave it with the story. So some of you guys know this truth, some of you guys don't. For a minute, I was working on developing these skill sets and I had it made for myself. I did really well. I'm saying I graduated college, I had a great job, and I was able to be in my own apartment in an expensive city. And I put myself in a good situation where our business was starting to take off. But I wasn't utilizing the money in the route in which Robert Kiyosaki was fully explaining. I was learning how through experience. And I made some mistakes. So you cannot be fearful of those mistakes. You've got to take those risks, like he's talking about, right? That's how you learn. So I put myself in a situation where I was in a roommate vibe where I had to come up with some extra cash, while we were also spending a lot of bread towards our business. And I had to make some decisions like, do I really want to get in debt for my business? I reminded myself of the lessons that I read in this book. And I made the decision too. Most people would look at me and they still do, and they're like, bro, you're dumb. I was like, no, you just don't understand money. And it's okay. And it's fine. Like your opinion is your opinion, but there's a reason why you're where you're at, and there's a reason why I'm going where I'm going. It's because I listen to those that have the lifestyle that I want. And I'm not afraid to just listen to understand that point. Period, point blank. And I'll leave it on what I was telling y'all to remember earlier. And it's the fact that as I was learning through experience and I made the mistakes, I ended up getting evicted from my apartment. And shortly thereafter, because of my focus and my stress levels being on a level I've never experienced before in my life, I crashed my whip trying to scrape away and get some bread while door dashing. Literally crazy. Mikhail could tell you, it was like wild. He was like, "Holy shit, bro! This it's like literally within like 7 day span, all this stuff kind of happened." And then I ended up in a situation where like I was living with some peeps that um frequency we're not aligning and I no longer associate with. And then from there, I ended up on my mom's couch for about 10 months. Was not living at my mom's for free. I was actually paying bills. I was actually helping my sister and my family take care of some financial responsibilities while also building my business, learning, and developing. And the reason why I get emotional is because, like, when I read about the cash flow and he talking about there were times where the cash flow was just not where the bills are needing them to be. I'm still paying myself first. I've been putting that into practice. I've been doing that for 2, 3 years now. And I was still putting, didn't matter how much, but 10% into my investments, 15% into my education and my skill sets, and like literally working on my budget and being intentional about these things. And y'all, like, even when I didn't have it, the Lord still blessed me because he's seeing my stewardship of what I have. And I think that's the most important part. Like, you've got to be willing to steward what you have and to do with what you've got, with what he's given to you, because he's given you enough. Even if it doesn't look like it, it is. And those little things that I've done in the process has helped me progress. And I know where I'm going because I've been paying myself first. I've been following the principles and the laws that I've been learning for the years. And I'm going to win. It's just a matter of the continuation of carrying out those actions more efficiently over time. Because even if I got it together, the goal is to improve. Like, there's no stopping to any of that. So I'll leave it with this last part. And it was towards the beginning of chapter 8. And I think it's the most important thing that honestly gets overlooked because you hear it often, but I really want y'all to resonate with what he says. A truly, okay, remember, right? Biggest freaking component in order to get to the financial freedom is the intelligence to move with the literacy that you gain. Right? It says a truly intelligent person welcomes new ideas, for new ideas can add to the synergy of other accumulated ideas. Listening is more important than talking. If that were not true, God would have not given us 2 ears and only one mouth. Too many people think with their mouth instead of listening. in order to absorb new ideas and possibilities. They argue instead of asking questions. I take a long view on my wealth. I do not subscribe to get rich quick mentalities most lottery players or casino gamblers have. I may go in and out of stocks, but I am long on education. If you want to fly an airplane, I advise taking lessons first. I am always shocked at people who buy stocks or real estate but never invest in their greatest asset, their mind. Just because you bought a house or two does not make you an expert at real estate, my friend. People send me family, and I'm not gonna lie to you, like they really be driving me up a wall. But I pray for them, and I aim to operate as who I'm called to be. And y'all, you've got to continuously learn. You cannot learn if you're always talking. I aim, and I've been really actively. I think the greatest act of love that you can do for people without saying a word at all through action is just listening, being there and like intent. Like this is something that I appreciate having in a business partner that we've really gone and built so much in, because this is very rare to find and we do it very intentionally, and it doesn't matter what. And that's the difference, I think, between most people and how we choose to operate is we don't, like, a lot of people try to keep these boundaries and we don't like to blur the lines. We want synergy across everything that we do, and that requires us to be authentically ourselves at all times. And we want to choose to show people love. So what we do is we listen. If there's a proposal on the table that somebody wants to partner with us in some way, shape, or form, we're intentionally listening. If somebody has an issue with our leadership and wants to talk it out, we're intentionally listening. If somebody is frustrated about their life situations and what's happening financially, we're intentionally listening. If somebody's excited about something that they've accomplished or done or achieved, we're intentionally listening. Like it really requires you to be selfless. And this is why I touched on at the beginning how my epiphany with the law portion of financial intelligence is it's not just the laws that base money. It's also the laws that base life. It's you. Like that, I think that's the point that he's trying to make, right? I saw a funny reel the other day. Is the last thing I'll say. It's funny reel, and it was Kung Fu Panda. If you've ever seen the movie, you know the vibe, right? The scroll. There's no secret. There's no secret ingredient. But the guy, the tiger, is like, what is going on? And and Poe is like, yeah, it's okay. I was confused too at first. But like there's no secret ingredient. Like the secret ingredient is you. And it was funny because the reel was talking about trade, like when traders recognize what's most important, right, in their strategy to make some bread. But the way that I saw it and the way that I've been living it is like the life that you truly want to create for yourself. There's no secret to it. It's literally becoming it. Like you've got to authentically put in the work to be your most authentic version of yourself. And by the law of compensation, by the laws that govern the actual every equal and opposite reaction, energy, the whole nine yards, everything will work in favor for you. This is why I truly believe that these concepts that get taught in science and spirituality, like everything's based off the truth. And if you know what the truth, the light, and the way is, you will set your life accordingly. You'll do what needs to be done. Period. And I'm excited because I'm stepping into it and I see everybody stepping into it. And it's not a game. Like if y'all just continuously put it into practice, you'll learn more and you're like, holy crap. I did not know that this level is going to yield this much new knowledge. I thought I knew a good amount and I didn't know much at all. Right? The more I know, the more I understand I don't know. And that allows me to stay open-minded so I can listen versus in just trying to always be the expert. I will give my advice when I can because I am most qualified to help somebody I once was. Right? That's a law. But in the process, when it comes to moving forward, sometimes I'm just an ear and I can go about, let's go find an active solution because that's what money is. There's problems. And if you're valuable to solving the problems and bringing solutions, you'll get more of the money. And it's just how it works. We're playing Monopoly family, whether or not you like it. Get in the game and actually utilize the game to go and make an impact on it, right? I'm not here to just win the game. We want to transform it. We want to literally be an impact for it. And this is why I'm going to stress What we do and how we do it within our network in our community is a gift. Like, people need it right now. And I be talking very loudly with my peeps about it. I had a conversation yesterday with somebody that I bartend with, and he was talking about investing money to get into IT. I'm like, bro, why are you doing that? Like, is it excite you, or you just want some bread? He was like, bro, honestly, just the bread. I was like, bro, I know a lot of people in cybersecurity and IT that hate their lives because they're just doing it for the bread. I was like, we should have a conversation. So I'm gonna have a conversation with him soon. But I literally told him, I was like, dude, you got to change the way you look at money. Most people don't know where to start. And I told him, I can help. We have a platform. He was like, well, what is it going to cost me? I said, it's free. Plug in. Like, I really want y'all to know you have an ability to impact people, and you're either going to decide to or not. And I really do think you will get rewarded 30 times as much if you give more than you receive, right? That's why Zig Ziglar teaches to go and get what you want, go help people go get what they want, and you'll get it automatically. He don't worry about paying his bills because he helps people pay their bills, and it pays his bills. And as wild as it seems, and as crazy as my situation was, I was always paying my bills, and God always provided because I was helping people pay theirs. And I didn't have to worry about it because I don't need a job to make income. I need skill sets so I can solve problems and deliver solutions to make impact on other people's lives. And the money's going to always be there, and it'll come tenfold. Y'all buckle up. I'm excited. I'm sorry I went in, but I'm not sorry. I love y'all. Mikhail, you can wrap this thing up.
Hey, he did go in, and I appreciate you going in because you also encapsulated some of the stuff that I missed. I took a very impactful phone call today. Usually, I'm not one to actually take phone calls and pop up right in the middle. I'll like call people back. But today, it was definitely one of them names that I seen pop on my phone that I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna answer this. And it definitely was something serious, y'all. Um, it's crazy. First and foremost, I want to talk about something that was talked about.
Hold on, real quick, real quick. You probably missed it because you were chopping on the phone, but I did give you your flowers, bro, and I appreciate you. Honestly, just shining a light on the things that I've been able to grow in. And I know you did that for everybody else. So y'all do me a solid as he gets going. Y'all throw some flowers in the chat. Give him his flowers real quick.
Get out of here. I appreciate you, fam, for real, not for play. Um, Man, it's crazy, y'all. Like we are real life making a profound impact on people's lives. And it's honestly, I'm grateful. It's amazing. One thing that I wanted to touch on just before this leaves my brain. Earlier, Mateo talked about getting cut out of deals, and he kind of brought it back to choose your friends wisely. And I want to dive in on that point just because Patrick also talked about a little bit. Marcus talked about listening intentionally, and that's like halfway in between the line of what I wanted to bring up, and it sparked my thought process earlier. I have been cut out of more than enough deals in my life. You know what I'm saying? Truly. I've been removed from spaces where I definitely, in my opinion, deserved some of the value that really came through there. But also in that, I think that one thing that has set my leadership style apart from other people is that I've really learned how to intentionally listen. And when you intentionally listen, you can discern the difference between a mistake and malice. Same M word, or excuse me, same letter, two very different words. There's a very big difference between mistake and malice. There's a difference between somebody doing something to you intentionally and not caring about how you feel. And there's something different between if they actually just made a mistake. And so usually you won't have the discernment right there and then when it happens. And you're going to have uncomfortable conversations to really figure out where everybody's head is at and really figure out how you can harvest the good out of situations. And some of them you can grow from, and some of them you can leave, period. And I've literally had to do both in my lifetime. And so I do just want to make that mental note. And Mateo, I hope you heard me because your camera's off. But that was really for you, bro, because at the end of the day, we'll network with a lot of different people. We'll get moved out of the way of a lot of different things as entrepreneurs. At the end of the day, everybody is really here focused on making sure that their bills are paid, period, point blank. And so in that, you've got to discern who you're working with and who they are for real, for real. That's why our motto is it's not what you do, it's who you do it with that matters. Because truly, y'all, it actually makes a difference. It actually makes a hell of a difference because you'll really realize like, oh, okay, I peeped them do this and then I stayed around for this and then I peeped them do this, this, this. This nigga don't care about me. Let me move from around here. Period. You know what I'm saying? Or you'll realize the exact opposite, where ultimately there were just mistakes made in the process and people weren't thinking. So in that, you just definitely got to have that discernment. I absolutely loved everything that everybody's been talking about for the most part. I did not get to catch all of Chi-Town's. I heard part of it. I did not get to catch Amber's because I was literally on that phone call. I'm so sorry, OG. I also did not catch Imani's as well. I was like, yo, I was literally on this phone call. But this phone call, y'all, was a person whom things did not end the greatest 2 years ago when I last spoke with them. And in that, to hear, hey, buddy, thank you very much. To hear what has happened since the ending of that relationship, it's crazy, y'all. It's honestly crazy because people will do exactly what you wish that they will do. People will actually, like, if you get people in this environment, it will change their paradigm. It will change the way that they think. And if you do it right, they'll think about you for years and years to come. And you'll influence decisions that they make. You'll influence thought processes that they have. But it's literally about being an impact. And in the process, I know he talked about being an Indian giver when it comes to investing. But when you are just actively giving your time and expecting nothing in return, when you're actually just being there for people and you're investing in relationships, what happens is you can literally create magic if you do it right. And that's one thing that I've noticed that we've done pretty well here. As we talk about like this book, for instance, the person I spoke with today, this was one of their favorite books that they read with us. This was honestly, if I'm not mistaken, it was one of the first times that she actually read this book, was with us as well. And in that process, to hear about the investments that she's been able to make, to hear about like how life is literally changing and the decisions that her and her man have been making, it's honestly amazing, y'all. It's amazing. And when you truly just like sit back and realize like, yo, we have really mastered a formula to change people's mind. And if you help people change their mind, you can change their life. And that's what we do here. Whether you're with us for a little bit of time, whether you're with us for a long time, it honestly is crazy because I do this thing where like, I don't know about y'all, but when somebody pops in my head, I will shoot them a message or a call. Like, that's just how I am. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure everybody's gotten a random call from Mikhail, except for you, Pat. You kind of knew. You know what I'm saying? You'll catch one of these one day. But in that, everybody's gotten a random call from Mikhail. Like, hey, yo, how are you? What's up? What's good? I was just thinking about you. You popped in my head. And so while Amber was talking today, I sent out a message and was like, yo, you just popped in my head. Hope y'all are well. Boop de boop. And I got a call right after that. And it was crazy, y'all, because they are applying every single thing that we're talking about actively. They were sitting inside of an event next to Marcus way back in the day at Break the Code, and they heard Grant Cardone talk about their home and talk about like, hey, if you have a home, you're throwing money away. Like, renters are not losers. Renters are investors. You know what I'm saying? They can invest more money, period, instead of staying stuck. And they've been actively moving on all of these things. And it's honestly so amazing. They're even still trading in the markets. It's honestly so amazing, y'all. And if you just really take what Marcus just said and actively apply it, like real life, seek to actually change somebody's life and seek to change your own. Yo, I'm telling you, the fulfillment that you'll get at different times when you need it the most, it'll hit different. So I just real quick wanted to say that because it was on my mind. I apologize for missing the call, but it was definitely one of them ones of the conversation that I just had to hear all of the come ups, you know what I'm saying, that are literally happening in people's life right now. Even when it comes to like, when we're talking about investing, like, you know how many times that we've literally talked our butts off about telling people to invest in crypto assets and actually understand. And there are people that are real life realizing the fruits of just listening. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. And actually putting in the action Like this stuff works, and you can actively build a wealthy life. You can actively create the life that you want. You just got to do it. It's crazy, y'all. It's crazy. The main point that I got from this book, and the main thing that I put at the top of my notes as we were closing this thing out, is start where you are, use what you have, and key, stay consistent. Small educated steps lead to big financial growth. It's honestly amazing. It's a great thing to just understand that. Start where you at with what you got and continue to be consistent. And that's all you got to do. You ain't got to wait till you get X amount. You ain't got to wait till this. You ain't got to wait till that. That's literally moving in fear. Move in faith. Start with what you have. Do what you can and stay consistent. Period. Another big lesson I wrote down, teach and you shall receive. Share what you learn to reinforce it. As I always like to say, he or she who teaches learns twice. Period. Because not only does it reinforce, but it also puts you and another person in a better position. And what happens? You just did what I like to call a deposit. And eventually you might have a withdrawal. Withdrawals are great. Those be those moments when you're feeling a little bit stressed and you get a great phone call that peps up your spirit. Then be those moments when you're like actively going through something, or you might need to find a client for whatever type of skill set or whatever type of service, and somebody just calls you and throws a client in your lap with all the bread that you need. You might get tipped at work. You might do whatever the case may be. But ultimately, it's literally coming back from those deposits that you made some years ago, some time ago, and you expected nothing in return, and then eventually you got a return. So teach and you definitely shall receive. And then from there, I'm trying to really just pick through this thing because squad covered a lot and I loved it. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie to you. I was popping in, I was putting niggas on the speakerphone and turning my other ear in. The drummer in me, I was like, oh, squad snapping today. So I cannot wait to actually watch this recording. But the other one that really stuck out to me from chapter 8 was master a formula and then learn a new one. Y'all, it's key. It's key. It is key. You've got to master a formula and then you've got to consistently learn a new one. And in that, like for me, what that's looked like in my life, it's scary. Like it's very scary to master a formula and then be like, all right, I'm about to learn this new formula. I hope you guys can still hear me. Okay, yep, Chi-Town just moved. All right, cool. I was like, y'all really still? I couldn't tell. All right, bet. But in that, like, even with us mastering this formula of networking, of sales, of marketing, of community building, like, it's been a whole process. Even mastering the formula of network marketing, master the hell out of that formula. And to learn a new formula was scary for me. It really is. I'm not gonna lie. But real life. But in that though, it's like one thing that I'm learning right now, because as in this season of my life right now, obviously we stopped doing network marketing and bro, that's a whole formula I literally mastered, you know what I'm saying? And even though the skill sets are transferable, like we have to master a new formula as we step forward into this next space, period. And that can be intimidating. And then you have other people where it's like exciting. Like there's literally two sides of the coin. I used to say like the difference between fear and excitement, the line is literally blurred. It's extremely thin. You can barely see it. It's actually the same emotion when you look at the way that your brain fires. But at the same time, it's just coming from a different place, y'all. What Marcus just said, he's explained it in the smart way that I don't know because I didn't go to medical school. But in that, go ahead, take that.
No, bro, that was Marcus said it, bro. It's just stay the line.
Oh, stay the
Stay
line.
the line. Because he was talking about like it was fear and excitement, but he was also like different attributes so
Yeah.
that you could always do the thing that needs to be done.
Exactly, because it literally it all gives you fuel and energy into that next space. And one thing that I was told on this call today that I took is this person was like, "Yo, like me and my man were sitting there just wondering, like, dude, how does Mikhail do this full-time entrepreneurship thing? Like, how do you think he feels when there's like a whole lot of stuff coming up in life and he doesn't know how he's about to do it? Like, you think he gets like scared or like he's got to get excited. He's got to love low key that excitement because why the hell else would you stay there? And truth be told, here's the truth. Okay, here's the absolute honest to God truth. First, I get a little excited. Second, I get a little scared. Third, I get a little stressed. Fourth, I get a little overwhelmed. Fifth, I get excited again. Sixth, I get ready and I go. And that's literally the process. Marcus is low key halfway smirking because he's just now realizing, like, damn, this be all them calls that nigga be calling me and saying. You know what I'm saying? Literally, it's a whole process. And I'm like, dude, I'm a little, like, I'm excited, bro. God's about to work this out. Then I'm like, man, you know, I'll have a day where I don't call niggas. And then I'll have a day where I'm like, man, I'm low key stressed and overwhelmed, bro. Like, this is kind of where we at. I'm trying to figure this out. And then all of a sudden, it's just like, okay, Mikhail gets in action, period. And then I call you telling you something that just happened or that's happening, that's in the process right here, right now, knowing that everything is really finna fall into place. He said, I can verify. But it's real life, you guys. And in that process, like, I'm starting to master my own bounce back formula. That's really what's happening here in my own life. And I'm like, also coming to understand, like, yo, we can low key skip the like overwhelmed part and the stress part, and we can be a little bit like, okay, I don't know what's about to happen, and then we can just get into action. And I'm learning to like literally maximize time and condense those time frames, compress, excuse me, those time frames. Truly, because it's a whole process, but that right there is literally what's made me an entrepreneur and the type of entrepreneur that I am. Like, I get a little excited about these freaking crazy ass seasons of my life where I'm like, dude, I don't know how the hell I'm gonna make $10,000 over the next 30 days, but shit, we about to make $10,000 over the next 30 days. It's about to be lit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not something that we haven't done before. As I sit back and I think about it, like, oh, okay, I remember the first time I was feeling like this, and it was crazy, but it was way different than it is now. Now I'm being able to be prepped and prepared. Last time I was on a time limit, or else shit was going to get even more uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? So in that, it's like it's completely different seasons, but you're under like my understanding is like I've been able to just condense my time frame and master even that formula. There's a formula for every single thing that happens on this planet. Faith plus works equals miracles and righteous life. You know, like there's a formula for everything. And if you literally master each formula, what happens is you become what Mark Cassetti used to call a master in the art of living. Because you literally get to understand and like, oh, okay, cool, I got this. I know what's happening. This is cyclic. Okay, I've been through this cycle before. I know exactly what's happening in my life. And you can consistently upgrade. Obviously, there's a certain point of uncertainty that will always be there. But in order for you to literally use what you have, start where you are, and can stay consistent, you've just got to consistently master each formula. But the first formula is literally just you getting in action. It's going from inaction to action. That's the first formula that you need to really like get. And I feel like this book in its entirety, the goal of this book is to develop habits of wealth building instead of just learn about them. But you literally cannot understand that formula until you read this thing multiple times. Because the first time you don't know what you don't know. And you literally read to learn. The second time you've learned a little bit and you're reading again to go back up in it like, oh, okay, let me actually understand this. And you're reading to understand. The third time what happens is you actually read it to apply. I'm only speaking from my truth here. You know what I'm saying? Your truth may be a little bit different, but the third time for me was the application time. And then numbers 4 and 5 have just been the refining of the application and making sure that I could actually go in and actively do each and every single step and see what I wasn't doing and see what I was doing. Because it's literally about the action. It's to develop these habits instead of just learn about them. And that's why we talked about it, I think last week on the book, or excuse me, last week on the value session this past week. Me and Marcus talked about it often. Pretty sure I almost always say it on the book club. But literally you've got to like consistently seek to understand and develop a deeper level of understanding, and don't just read to learn, but read to listen. And if you learn to listen intentionally, like Marcus talked about, you'll hear what's in between the lines and what your life is trying to tell you. Because at the end of the day, that's all the scroll was saying, just like in Kung Fu Panda. It's you, bro. You got to listen to you. You got to see you. You got to be aware of you. You've got to know your formula, and you've got to master yourself. It's phenomenal when you start to put all these pieces together and you're realizing like, oh, okay, quit playing with me. We here. Next level me. We here. And then you consistently grow. Then you use what you have where you are and you stay consistent. And literally that consistently just builds new levels of mastery. So in that, I'm grateful for this entire book because ultimately it's just refining the habits of success and wealth building that are absolutely necessary for all of us. It's the reason we keep this thing in the roto. Yes, it's for y'all, but it's also for us because we get better and better each and every single time that we read this thing. I started making goals based upon habits and not results. Like it's a completely different paradigm that I'm in reading this book for this time in my life versus what it used to be. It's a completely different focus as well. So honestly, it's amazing. I'm grateful. Key to dos out of chapter 9: stop doing what you're doing if it's not working. Try something new. Period. You've got to consistently adjust. That's what champions do. Another key point was look for new ideas in books, in seminars, in mentors, seeking that next level of understanding. And then from there, it's think big and start small. Shout out TGF. We were thinking way too big when we first started this thing to the point where it like literally it scared our mentors. They didn't even get it. It's crazy. Continuously. And we're like, dude, you guys are like the biggest. Like, obviously not, because somebody was bigger than them. There's always a bigger fish, period. But in that, your floor, it's always somebody else's ceiling. So just understand that and continue to build, period. Think big, start small. Just literally learn the game through action, take step after step after step after step after step after step, and you can connect the dots looking backwards. Because when me and Marcus consistently connect the dots, we look back upon that moment that he talked about today. We are so thankful, so freaking thankful that we did it. Yeah, it was a crazy season. Yeah, it put on both of us got in a bind. Marcus got a little bit more of a bind than I did. But in that though, like it was a crazy season. But that season and that moment of our lives became a pivotal point where we had a paradigm shift, where we had a shift in how we saw our brand, where we had a shift in every single thing that we believed to be true about our future because we got to realize a piece of that vision. So in that, sometimes that exposure literally creates the expansion that you need in order to get to the next level. Because that just in turn had us meet somebody else. That in turn had us do another event. That in turn had us realize, yo, we can partner with people and do this thing even bigger. Then all of a sudden our business started to grow and just we started to meet the right people. And now looking at where we are and what we've been able to build, it's crazy. People literally call me often for different types of partnerships. It's wild that Marcus brought that up. Like we listen intentionally. We got a meeting tonight, sir. You know what I'm saying? Just letting you know. I got a call at 8:30 this morning. Somebody wants to introduce us to somebody who potentially wants to partner with TGF. So in that, somebody in your state too. Crazy. I'm excited.
Okay, bet. Was it with Don?
It is with Don. Don
Okay,
called.
well, I was aware. He called me as well.
Let's go.
So
Fire.
we're in
That's
here,
what I
yeah.
like to see. On the
All right,
same
bet.
page.
Hashtag TGF.
Hashtag TGF. But literally, like, that's what it's about, though. And I don't think that a lot of people, real life, like, I don't think that they realize the depth of what listening intentionally can do in your life. It's wild. We listen so intentionally that when we say things, people think about things years later. I was told about a sentence Marcus said to somebody 2 years ago today that impacted their entire life over the last 2 years, that they literally wake up and think about on the daily. And they're grateful for it. And it's wild, y'all, because these be the moments where you are honestly just in action and you're thinking big, period. And you are actually developing these habits, actually developing your skill set of being able to manage people. And in that process, it's like, yo, what you realize is like, we can do so much more together. And this is literally just the beginning. And that's one thing that I've realized consistently, especially every time that we read this book, because I just realized that if we keep on doing what we're doing, we will be one of the biggest companies on the planet one day. We will be one of the most impactful companies on the planet one day. We will literally be able to directly and indirectly train thousands upon thousands upon thousands of leaders in their respective fields that go and impact millions around the world. If we just keep on doing exactly what we've been doing, staying where we're at, doing what we do, what we can, period, and maximizing the effort. I'm really grateful. Three little thinking tips, real quick. Wrote these questions down just for people to ponder. But hey, shout out to this other little point in here. Schools don't teach us how money really works. That's your responsibility now, and we've been on it. As of the call that I got this morning, bro, we really out here changing lives, P. So we on it. It's greatness. And trust and believe each and every single person on this call right now, you actively are feeding into that. You actively are doing it in your own life as well. So don't think the accomplishment's just for me and Marcus, because it's really not. It's for us all, period. Because I brought up a multitude of people on the call, and they recognize and remember these people, and they start talking about what they've done and how they've spoken into their life the whole nine. So in that, trust and believe, like as my man Marcus says, don't allow the size of your boom, but the boom boom.
The size of your assignment to dictate the significance of your impact.
Bow, that one. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted him to say it the right way. You know what I'm saying? But in that, 3 talking points, real quick. Start small and learn quickly. What's one small step we can each take this week to start learning by doing? 2, find a reason greater than reality. What is your personal why for pursuing financial freedom? Like, I know the life that we all want to create, but why? In like real life, ask yourself that. I challenge you to put it on your board like I got mine on my board. Okay? Just so you can wake up and actually be surrounded by that thing and think about it each and every single day. So that as it gets to these seasons, because obviously we all have hard seasons, you can continuously push through. It's great to be surrounded and see your goals and your why each and every single day. So that way, when you pick up your phone and you got to dial that, you see your why first. So you don't even think about the reality as you're going to dial it. You just literally pick up the phone and you call and you go actually make do what you got to do, period. So in that, number 3, action always beats inaction. It's the biggest thing. So many people, so many people finish books like this and they do not do anything different. Please do not be so many people. I would absolutely love it because we are all low-key a part of this book club group inside of TGF. That would be a cool place to do this. If not, we can text it to each other too. It's fine. You know what I'm saying? But in that, what is one clear action that you'll take after finishing this book? And if you don't tell nobody, 9 times out of 10, you ain't gonna take the action. And that's the only reason why I say it's always good to share this with somebody. Like, share your goals intentionally with humility to your people so that they can be on it with you. Like, it's different when you share the goals out loud. Like when I told Marcus I was trying to quit smoking, every time I smoked on the FaceTime with that man afterwards, I literally seen his face. And I know that he thought about it, even though he didn't want to say anything to me right then and there. But I thought about it. And that's what literally made me be like, all right, bet, let me just finish this little bag and actually be through. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, it's gone. You know what I'm saying? You should.
Hey, but don't get it
Feeling
twisted,
how it's
y'all. I
supposed to.
be saying something too.
Yeah, he definitely do. Hey, bro, what you on? You know? So there's definitely moments where some will call it, some won't call it. You know, like there's a timing for everything. But ultimately, if you don't ever share it with somebody, they don't ever know to call you on it. You don't ever think of it in the back of your head. And if you do, you probably just shrug it off and keep doing what you're doing. So in that, highly recommend from experience, y'all, tell somebody about this clear action you're going to take about this goal. It doesn't always have to be you quitting something, period. Replace it with something. Mind my own business, pay myself first, master the formula. Amen. But literally, you can literally, like, it's in my book. I talk about replacing different habits, and you can literally replace them with something that you do often. Literally. And if you start to do that and you start to replace the bad habits, it's easier than just quitting. But that's a whole nother thing. Doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter what your goal is, whether it's personal, whether it's spiritual, whether it's physical, whether it's financial. Like, actively take one step. What's one clear action that you are actually going to get into after finishing this book as we head into this next one? period. For our no full, for instance, it might be just literally reading 5 pages a day to stay on. Like, most people, like, when they get behind, it all of a sudden gets really stressful because you're thinking that other people are judging you in this space when they're really not. I don't care if you tell us something from chapter 4 and 5, like, share what you learned this past week, but ultimately push yourself to do better and be better as well. So for that, whatever you think that your goal is right now in your life, write that thing down. I literally have a whole note card, goals for the second half of 2025. One of mine was put invest 10% of everything I earn. That's a habit I actually want to create this year because, truth be told, I've done it at different times, and then I've left that investment until I needed that investment. You know what I'm saying? And then I pulled it out and I kept on moving. So in that, this year, I actively want to really start building something for them kids that you hear on the other side of this wall. Like, I'm over just continuously doing, because I also realized very recently, like, I gotta leave something for my children. Period. Ain't nobody else gonna do it. Ain't nobody else gonna teach them the skills of investing. Ain't nobody else gonna teach them the skills of accounting. Ain't nobody else really willing to figure it out enough to be able to teach another person. Therefore, I have to. And that was a realization that I had when I realized, okay, if that is the case, then I got to get really intentional about actively putting away investments because, bro, I could die tomorrow. And if I did, there's not anybody that really cares about my family's well being financially to go put them in a place of like being ahead. So, in that, you got to put these things away and it's got to be bigger than you and you got to start yesterday. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. So, for me, that became one of my goals of success for the second half of 2025 and beyond as we go forward. It's definitely imperative that I do some of these things. So when I finish out the rest of these goals, I plan on writing about 4 more. Just knock out a quick 5 for the end of the year. I'm gonna send that picture into the group and be like, "Hey y'all, here's what I'm on." You know what I'm saying? Let's get it cracking. Period. Those who want to hold me accountable is lit. We here. Those who don't is lit. Y'all there. Thing. You know what I'm saying? But in that, I'm excited to move forward. Furthermore, the next book we are reading, I don't know if Marcus covered this in the beginning. We low key should have said it in the very beginning. But that one, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, I'm excited because I've heard about this a whole bunch of times. It is inside of the digital library. So everybody has access to this thing for the freezy. Download that ebook so you don't hop on this call next week talking about I ain't read. You know what I'm saying? It's all good. Go get that thing in the physical book if you would like that as well. But in that, everybody has access. Let's just start with the intro, chapter 1 and 2 for next week.
I'm gonna look to see how long chapter 1 and 2 actually is because it's a
Oh,
it's
it's
a
hefty.
decent
It
it's a
looked
decent
way
read.
smaller when you held it up at first. I ain't gonna lie.
No, it's okay. Oh yeah, it's a decent read. And it's gonna come with some pretty one, it's kind of like a story, but it's gonna come with some pretty, I like to call them thick concepts that have a lot of layers to them, right? So I want to make sure that we don't just try to speed read over it. I used to have a goal of like, oh, we got to read like 10 to 12 books a year. And I really like it does not matter,
Yeah,
you
I
know what I'm
got
saying?
over
Like
it.
I had planned like for Bible study, for example, y'all, I had planned to read X amount. And we spent so much time really discussing the actual practical words that were coming from the one we believe in most. And like, I just want to make sure that we don't take for granted the pages on this book specifically, because The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, the subtitles to it read as this: it's a fable. Does anybody know what a fable means?
It's a fable, a
Chi-Town, okay, hold on. Chi-Town shook her head. Do you mind telling everybody what a fable is?
It's a story that's an analogy, and it comes with like the details, so you get the concept, but the deeper
Boom.
meaning within it.
Thank you, because they're not just saying it's a story, right? It's a fable. So keep that in mind. It's a fable about fulfilling your dreams and reaching your destiny, right? As you guys know, we like to go back and forth from not just like actual practical, but the mental, the physical, the spiritual, and the things that are required for you to actively bring to fruition what it is you see here and what's been placed there. You know what I'm saying? And so one, we read it all the time. 98% of success 95% of success is spiritual. I think it's mostly spiritual than actually physical. And then in that, just know y'all, like, I don't know who said it, but it's extremely imperative, right? The level of your success is always going to be dependent upon your level of personal development, who you are as a person. So this one is going to be extremely impactful. I'm really excited about it. I've had multiple mentors point me in this direction, and honestly, I've always wanted to read about myself. But once we started the book club and we started getting in tune with that, I'm like, oh yeah, we definitely gonna have to read this as a squad. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like it's going to be some very impactful things that get brought out to light in your own personal situations, but also about the goals and the game plans y'all are running for yourselves to really run it up in this season. So I'm grateful. I'm excited, y'all. Stay in tune. I'll make sure that the post goes into the book club group, so you guys got the links if you want to buy the copy. Um, but we'll throw the actual folder that it's in the digital library in, so you can go get it pretty quickly as well. But I appreciate you guys. I'm excited. Has anybody read? Oh, never mind. Go ahead. But y'all have a good rest of y'all's day. Happy Saturday. My fault.
Bye.
Oscar,
I
I
gotta
wasn't trying to say anything, by the way. You got to
hold
what?
on, Amber. I'm gonna look and I'll post it in there. But real quick, Mikhail, do you know what folder it's in? I think she's already looking at it.
Um, hold on, give me two
If
points.
I know Amber, it's like pulled up on her screen. She's just ready to press download.
I know. If I'm not mistaken, it's in the money and finances folder, but let me just make sure. I gotta go to the book club page.
Sure.
Or it might be in the mind. Hold
It
on.
might be a mindset, bro, or spirituality.
It's in the growth folder.
Growth.
It's crazy because I said all those things and I didn't even click on none of them. I just clicked on the growth folder and it was right there. There's only two
Okay.
things in that folder. But that's also where the 15 invaluable laws of growth were. That was a good one. That one was phenomenal. That one was fire. But yep, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. The other book in there is How to Read a Book, A Guide to Intelligent Reading. It sounds crazy, but it's actually a really good book. I read that one.
Oh, okay, that's dope. No, I feel like this is an amazing concept because people really need to know that. Because like, bro,
The Classic Guide to Intelligent Reading. Like, you gotta read between them lines, P. It's crazy. I love
okay,
it.
cool.
But yeah, it's right in there. The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. Let me download this thing too, as a matter of fact, right now.
Sounds good. Can
As
you
it
all right, bye
delivers.
recording. Much love, much love.
As
Stop
it
recording.
delivers.